This is Lori from CEUs for Teachers, where your continuing education units are simple, convenient, and affordable. Helping students succeed, understanding grit and mindset. Let's take a look at the essential questions for this unit. By the end of the unit, we will answer, what is mindset? What is grit? And what are the misconceptions of both mindset and grit? According to Carol Dweck, a fixed mindset assumes that our character, intelligence, and creative ability are all static. This means that if you have a fixed mindset, you don't believe that you will change over time. These types of people like to avoid failure at all costs, so that they can maintain their sense of being smart or skilled. A growth mindset, on the other hand, thrives on challenges and sees failure not as evidence of unintelligence or failure, but as a way to improve and grow and increase our existing abilities. Both of these mindsets typically manifest at a very early age and can impact our behaviors, relationships, and aptitude for success or failure. Think about it. When do you feel smart? Fixed mindset people would answer this question by saying, when I don't make mistakes. It's when I finish first and it's perfect. Think about if you have children or when you've heard students say, I finished before everyone else, as if that is a measurement of intelligence. A fixed mindset person might also say something like, when something is easy for me and others can't do it, I feel smart. However, the growth mindset people look a little bit differently at when they feel intelligent. They might say, when something's really hard and I try hard and I can do something I couldn't do before. Notice the growth mindset person only compares their intelligence or their aptitude to themselves, not to others. When I work on something a long time and finally figure it out, I feel smart. Take a look at these differences and consider how you've heard people speak or yourself. Remember that growth mindset people believe that although people differ in their aptitudes, interests, and temperament, everyone can change, grow, and improve. Where the fixed mindset person feels like they only have so much aptitude, intelligence, or ability to learn. So on the left column, you'll see an example. Smart or dumb. That's what a fixed mindset person would believe. However, the growth mindset person in the second column would say, I have a potential, I can get better. The fixed mindset person might say, somebody is strong or weak, whereas the growth mindset person would say, practice makes you stronger. So fill out each of these areas in your workbook. Try to come up with at least 2 or 3 more examples of a fixed mindset person and then the opposite, what a growth mindset person would say. Now that you've filled out that example, move down to the next table in your workbook. Let's look at a specific stimulus this time. For example, how would a fixed mindset person and a growth mindset face a challenge? Well, a fixed mindset person would probably avoid a challenge, whereas the growth mindset sees a challenge as something to embrace, something that can actually be fun and enjoyable. Then move down to obstacles. How would a fixed mindset person face an obstacle versus a growth mindset? For example, a fixed mindset person, when facing an obstacle, might give up easily, whereas the growth mindset might persist until they can overcome the obstacle. Be sure to fill out each area: effort, criticism, other people's success, and my own failure. Take some time to work through the workbook on this particular table to consider the differences. The fixed mindset typically believes negative and critical of others. What would the growth mindset say? Fill in your workbook for this example. I filled in parts of the chart for you, while you can fill in the rest. Take some time to consider how each approach differs. Let's take a look at Calvin and Hobbes, this cartoon, and see how Calvin's fixed mindset comes across. Our poster didn't win. I still can't believe it. What a miscarriage of justice! This contest was a joke. Obviously, the judges were biased against us from the start. Well, the important thing is that we tried our best. The important thing is that we lost! Oops, I always forget the purpose of competition is to divide people into winners and losers. What's the point of trying if you can't be a winner? So here in the third column we see that Hobbes tries to say, hey, let's have a growth mindset. Calvin says, why bother? So Hobbes is really trying to say, well, a competition really isn't about winners and losers. It's about working and trying to push yourself to get better. But Calvin is demonstrating a fixed mindset. Fill in your workbook with your examples of this cartoon. There are quite a few misconceptions when we talk about a fixed and growth mindset and how they differ in their views of intelligence. People were asked about intelligence and how much they thought it was related to effort versus ability. So what do you think the closed or fixed mindset person said when they answered this equation? So think about the fixed mindset. What would they say was equivalent to effort and percentage equivalent to ability? Well, the fixed mindset person sees that 35% comes from effort, while 65% comes from ability. So you can see that it's quite distorted that a fixed mindset believes more in ability than effort. So what do you think the growth mindset person would say? Well, if you said it's the exact opposite, you're absolutely right. A growth mindset person would say that the majority of intelligence comes from your effort versus your natural given ability. So the growth mindset person might show you something like this. Never give up. Success depends on mindset? Well, according to Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck, success is not determined by your innate talents and intellect, and this is what we need to get across to our students. Success rather depends upon our mindset, the degree to which we believe we have the capacity to cultivate our intelligence and grow our abilities. In a fixed mindset, remember, people believe their basic qualities, such as intelligence or talent, are simply fixed traits. They're not going to change. These people spend their time thinking about how much intelligence they have versus trying to develop it. They also believe that talent alone creates success. Remember that last slide, that 35% came from effort? Well, of course we know they're wrong. A growth mindset person believes that their most basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. That brains and talent are just a starting point. Now, this view creates a love of learning and a resilience that is essential for great accomplishment. Carol Dweck says that virtually all great people have had these types of growth mindset qualities. Teaching a growth mindset creates that motivation and productivity that we want to see in our students and in the world. Which mindset is most common? Well, students and teachers have a mix of both fixed and growth mindset. Some are on one end of the spectrum, some in the middle, and others that rigidly hold to their feelings about growth or closed mindsets. Now, we know that mindsets can be changed, and Carol Dweck's experiments and research have shown us this. Similarly, students and teachers have a mix of these mindsets. Some students may believe that they're just not good at math, or I'm just not a good writer, while others believe that with practice, hard work, and feedback, they will continue to get better at it. As we know, mindsets really aren't related to our ability. In fact, Carol Dweck would say that this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's consider the two statements and see how this works. Which one do you believe to be the most correct? People can learn new things, but a person can't really change their intelligence? Or people can learn new things and a person can substantially change their intelligence? If you tend to agree with statement number one, you have what Carol Dweck refers to as a fixed mindset. Individuals with this mindset believe that intelligence or ability or personality is fixed. You get the cards you're dealt with, and that's what you have. You can't do much about it. But if you agreed with statement number two, then you have a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that no matter what their traits or abilities are today, they can be enhanced and improved through effort. And most everything can be accomplished given enough hard work, passion, and training. Now, you might be saying, yeah, sure, but I'm only 4'11". I'm never going to be a professional basketball player. Well, that is true. However, could you get better at dribbling the basketball? Could you get better at throwing the basketball, passing, making a free throw? Yes, you probably can. Will you become a professional NBA player? No, but you can still improve with effort, with training, and passion. People often ask, are mindsets fixed or can they be changed? Again, mindset is not a fixed attribute. Like other beliefs, it is learned from our experiences. This is why, as teachers, we have to learn the intervention strategies to help students increase their motivation, their perseverance, so that they can improve their achievement and close that learning gap. How many of you could say, I have 50% of my students that say they're not good in math, or 30% who say they can't draw? I'll never forget in kindergarten, well, it might have been first grade, we had to draw a self-portrait. Well, never being very good at art and being quite young, I drew a stick figure. I remember my teacher saying, that is not a good picture. You need to have more to it. You need to add structure. That really stuck with me because I didn't understand how to add structure. I knew how to build a stick figure. So instead of thinking about how I could improve, I immediately gained a fixed or closed mindset about art. And even to this day, I say, I can't draw. Now, I know that this is not a good vision to have, and I consider myself growth-minded, yet that's something that has always stuck with me. Our roles as teachers are so important and critical in helping students avoid closed mindsets and learn how they can build the confidence that I can learn math, I can get better at writing, I can draw, I can come to understand science. In the complete course, we will discuss more strategies and methods for teachers to encourage a growth mindset. So if you haven't already, be sure to enroll in the full course, Grit and Mindset. Allowing and encouraging mistakes is one step that teachers can take to help students foster a growth mindset. The bottom line is that students do need to learn the material. What's more important, that students learn the material the first time they're exposed to it, or that they learn it? This is something that's really important when we consider allowing students to redo an assignment, retake a test, or get that additional help so that they can show their proficiency. Let's take a look at grit. Grit is synonymous with words like tenacity, perseverance, and the ability to not give up. Grit is the courage to keep one's resolve when faced with setbacks. In Lesson 1, I will ask you to take the grit scale. It's 12 items and a fun way to consider how much grit you have. Now, after you take the grit scale, jump into the discussion forum or the Facebook group to share your results. Some of the grit misconceptions is that if students just tried harder or worked harder, they would become better. Well, that's really a misconception of grit. Cheryl Mizerny, 2015, stated that if perseverance were all it took to be successful, we would all have the capacity to be Olympic athletes if we just put our minds to it. Not true. Yes, it is always possible to improve, but it's a lot easier to hit a home run if you begin life on third base through some special talent or special circumstances. For the rest of us, starting at home plate, we may need a little more support and encouragement to round those bases. And this is where, as teachers, we need to be intentional with not only our feedback to students, but how we teach them about perseverance and how we teach them that failure is okay and how we guide them to move around each base. We need to understand the zone of proximal development to make sure that we're meeting our students in the right grit zone. Lev Vygotsky introduced the zone of proximal development, which I'll refer to as ZPD. It is the difference between what a learner can do without any help or assistance and what she or he can do with help. And that's where we really teach grit and perseverance. So a student who doesn't understand is going to be outside of their proximal zone of development. So I don't get it. I need some help understanding. I think I understand, but I need a little support. And I understand and can try this on my own. This red light really shows that even if you don't get it, you will get it with a little help. And again, that's that concept of perseverance. Vygotsky defined ZPD as the distance between the actual development level, as determined by independent problem solving, and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in collaboration with more capable peers. Here's a close-up look of the zone of proximal development. Now, skills that are too difficult for a child to master on his or her own, but that can be done with guidance and encouragement. And those are really our two key words here, guidance and encouragement, to learn how to move along that spectrum through perseverance, through failure, through multiple efforts. Now, the teacher's role is mediating the child's learning activity by knowing what the child can do and then slightly pushing him or her past that point. Scaffolding is a key feature of effective teaching and needs to include modeling the skill, providing some hints or cues and support, and adapting the material or activity. So, failure is really the key to success, and helping our students understand that not only is failure okay, but that we expect it is going to help build their level of grit. And one of the best strategies is to actually model making mistakes and model how to accept those mistakes and say, oh, it looks like I made a mistake. I need to try a little bit harder when I do this the next time. So in the classroom, scaffolding can be performed with just about any task. So consider some guidelines for scaffolding that came from Silver 2011. First, we want to assess the learner's current knowledge and experience for academic content. Then we want to relate that content to what students already understand or can do. Breaking tasks into small, more manageable ones with opportunities for intermittent feedback is going to help improve grit, along with using verbal cues to prompt and assist students. Now, we know that we also have to consider our own level of grit, along with mindset as teachers. Teachers have several developmental stages that they go through, and this often comes from their experience with students, parents, and other staff members, as well as their ability to be a leader. Think about how you did on the grit scale. What does that say about you and your thinking of learning? Then consider, how does this relate to how your students see you? Do they see you as someone willing to make mistakes? Do they see you as someone who will accept their mistakes